Hello, and welcome back to another Game Jam video where I had less than 2 weeks to make a game based on the theme Robot Rock. With every game, you gotta start by creating a new Unity project. I wanted a third-person game, so I took a first-person script in one of my other games, like Brace Yourself. Oh, if you don't know what that is, you should check it out. But I moved the camera backwards and tried it out, and look at that. It works like a charm. I mean, kind of. It needs some tweaking. Yeah, it's just terrible. So I found this free Unity asset called Third Person Character, which works actually amazingly. It gives you free animations, sound effects, and I was like, this is exactly what I need for Robot Rock. So then I decided to start designing the first level, and these are all just rough drafts. So I made a little quick mountain because I want you to I think the premise of the game should be where you're going down mountains and trying to solve a mystery and what happened to all the other robots. So this character right here is not mine. So I decided to make my own robot model that was unique to me. I spent a lot of time on this robot. I even got some pen and paper out and sketched on what I thought it should look like. Then I decided to add some details such as wires going between the head and like the torso and between the arms, so it would look even more like an actual robot with exposed wires. And this is the final result of what those wires look like. I'm pretty proud of how they turned out. Now the next step is to give the robot bones. So I went to Mixamo, assigned the joints, so to give him some bones, and now look at him dance. Now I wanted to try something new, in which is animating my own characters but inside of Blender. As I have animated characters before in my fighting game devlog. If you haven't watched that, go check that out. So here I am in Blender animating the robot's walk cycle. So I finished making some basic walking animations, but when I imported into Unity, it didn't seem to work. It just made him turn into a giant laying on his side. So let's redo every single animation I made. Plus, I'm going to give it some arms to walk along with so it looks much better. So I finished up the animations and I brought them into Unity, and using the third person controller and some blend trees, I made these really nice transitions. I made an in-air, a jump, and a land animation, and I think it looks pretty good. Especially if you compare it to the party time walk in the fighting game devlogs, which is not the greatest. Here's some footage of that. Now that I have the player done, it's time for some more levels. So here's one of my level drafts. It's supposed to be an abandoned city that was destroyed from an asteroid crash. And here's some of my models I made. Like, look at this epic light bulb. I ran out of time, so I had to make that. I also wanted some Easter eggs, so of course I had to add the best robot in existence, Billy. here's a final result of what Billy looks like. It's pretty good. But I want another character in the game, and what would be better than a goat? So I quickly made a model and I gave it some animations, and here they are. I named the goat Eustace, because why not? I even made it to where when you press a certain button, he would run towards where your last spot was. But it did lead to some issues where he liked to drift around a certain spot. The whole concept of Eustace is to where he would push down buttons for you, so here's some footage of it working. When Eustace got on the button, the door opened so you could go to the next room. I then started to make this lab. So I started off with creating a nice wall for it, and I started adding some details after I got the room down. This lab level has different mechanics, such as some parkour with some moving platforms. You even have to push buttons, so I had to program a few scripts for that. Here's some footage of me trying to parkour. The animation stopped working for a little bit, but I ended up getting them to work eventually. I then needed to make the room where Eustace would be at, where you'd have a nice building with lots of buttons for Eustace to open doors with. I then had to program it where some buttons would open multiple doors so you could get Eustace to the next room with no problem. This level involves a lot of teamwork between you and Eustace. I also had this little gap in the wall, and I was really running low on time, so I did this epic fix of just putting more walls around it. Boom, gap is gone. Every epic game has an epic boss fight in it. So I decided to make this epic boss model. I mean, just look how good this looks for a human. So it kind of looks like a bird. So I spent a few hours making this guy, which it isn't perfect, but it's much better than the first attempt. And then I made him a little walking cycle for him. And voila, the boss is done pretty much. I'm just going to have his arms T-pose at you, because that's very menacingly. I then started to work on the main menu with an animation, but the robot's leg was just a little bit broken. I also made this really cool level, and the leaves had to be really low poly, so that's what they look like. But this is my game. This is what I made in about 2 weeks. Sadly, there was a ton of bugs with Eustace, so you could not progress that far in the game. But I'm pretty proud of with how it turned out. Thank you guys for watching my video, and check out my next one, which won't be out for a long time probably.